Hey guys, I'm Zen,
I'm Oli, and we're
and
the
we're the
Invincibles.
Invincibles.
There we go.
The start of our episodes are always awkward, but I love it. It's all good. I
It's
feel
part of
like
the
that's
charm.
it's part of the charm, man. It's part of life, bro. It's part of life. Let's get this episode started, bro. So this episode is going to be a bit different. Typically we've talked about like wrestling, we've talked about Marvel, but we're going to be talking about something a bit more classic today. Ollie, what are we breaking down today, bro?
We're talking about Creed 3,
Yes,
and
sir.
so I saw it on Sunday. You saw it, was it last night or night
Yeah,
before?
or the night
Um,
before.
and I think we've both been a bit blown away by it.
Yeah, yeah. I think. Well, I mean, we'll get into it, bro. But
Mhm.
just off the top of my head, I really hope they don't stop making Creed movies. I really want to say that. Like, I really hope they continue. Um, but with the goodwill and the blessing of Sylvester Stallone, we'll be talking about that later as well. Sylvester Stallone, Rocky was not involved, and it was personal. So there's some bad blood there,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, in terms of like the film, I saw it a couple nights ago, and I, off top of my head, I really appreciate a lot of the anime influence in this movie, right?
Yes.
So, for example, in Creed 1 and 2, and even in the Rocky movies, um, there was this constant shot, and you would hear a lot more of the visceral sound effects, but like the camera angle was there, so where they were getting punched in real time, but they were moving and slipping out of the way. So I say that to say, like, in the past, the view was a lot more spectator based, if that makes sense. If you watch the old
Mhm.
Rocky movies, the Creed movies, they were a bit more like, you remember the continuous moving shot and Ryan Coogler's Creed
Yeah,
when yeah, of that first fight where Rocky was put him on for the first fight ever before he fought Pretty Ricky Conlon, and so that was a continuous shot. So the Creed movies put you in the action directly, and I really appreciate that. But Creed 3, there was a lot of like Zack Snyder esque, Naruto esque influence, like
yeah.
a punch, and you see the slow mo.
Mhm.
There's a lot of like eyes, like like there are scenes of like he sees like a rib moving, like right, like so Adonis, he sees like during the Pretty Ricky fight, he sees like a rib of Ricky Conlon move, and it cuts to his eye, and then it cuts to the rib, and it cuts to the eye, but it's like super fast, so
Mhm.
it's very anime. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like the cut is
Yeah.
blurred super fast, so it's like anime esque instead of like a cut. Like it's one fluid motion. So there was that, and then also in the end, right when he was boxing Diamond Damian Anderson, there was a moment where they're boxing, and then the crowd disappears, and it's just them.
That was incredible.
Yeah, and he's like he's Adonis is clinching in the back, and Kang, we should just say Killmonger and Kang, right? And get all the film purists to hate us, but no, Kang, like, God, no, not Kang, jeez, but Anderson, right, like Jonathan Major's character is like punching Adonis, Michael B. Jordan, and he's in the corner, Michael B. Jordan's in the corner guarding, and instead of ropes, it's the cage walls of like a jail cell.
Yeah, that was really good. That was powerful.
So a lot of that imagery to describe what these men were feeling, especially when it was a movie that largely talked about how it is not easy for men to talk about our emotions. I
Mhm.
felt like that is unfortunately a lot of the male experience. There's a lot going on, a lot of images going on in our head, but we don't feel like we have the tools, or we don't feel comfortable enough to speak on them. And I thought that use of imagery was just perfect. Like, it was just so subtle, so brilliant, and I really hope people don't hate on it, and make it
Mm.
seem like, oh, it's cartoony, because that's something that has never really been done in the Rocky franchise.
It was also a really creative way to sort of pass the time in like a 12 round boxing match.
Yeah. That's good.
So instead of doing the full match or just skipping rounds here and there, it's a really creative way because that started that was like round 2 of the fight when that sequence begins, and then it ends just before the final round begins. So it was a really creative way to pass that time,
Yeah.
which I thought that was pretty cool.
And not only that, I appreciated how this film also showed like Adonis Creed is now a master in the ring.
Yeah.
So when he, like the one continuous blurred shot of the rib versus him, like his eyes, and then he's noticing something else in the crowd, and it like zooms up like very quickly. It just shows just how comfortable he is and just how much of a threat he really is.
Mm.
And I appreciated that. Like, this is a movie that was truly about Adonis Creed. It was, and while it is tough, and we'll talk about why Sylvester Sloan wasn't involved in the film and our thoughts about it, I do appreciate the fact that this is a film just about Amara Creed, just about Bianca Creed, and just about Adonis Creed, and about his mother. Duke was also a part of the family in a way, and how Damian Anderson was a part of that. I mean, it's a movie that Michael B. Jordan truly was like, I want to have my character feel his own, and he needs his own world, and this is the world building for Adonis Creed. I just really appreciate that. It kind of filled that hole that would have been there apparent with Rocky's disappearance. It would have been apparent with bad writing, and very, very happy to say Michael B. Jordan killed it. Like, the writing, the directorial, it was awesome.
For him to have this piece of work as the first film he's ever directed, he must be so proud of this as like the first body of work as a director. And going back to what you were saying about like Creed's character, something that I really liked was when he was training. What was the kid's name who's he's training? Who's the champion?
Victor Chavez.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fraud champion.
Yeah. So when he was training him, and he's saying like it's not all about being aggressive, like you've got to like use your brain and stuff like that. It just shows, like you said, how he's an absolute master of his craft now. So I really like that aspect of it, and you saw that put into action in the first fight in the film. And when he's scoping out the ribs, and then he moves in slow motion, then you see him look, and then brilliant.
And very, very anime, very Goku, Vegeta, Naruto, Sasuke. And they watched anime. Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan, they like sat down and watched some of Michael B. Jordan's favorite animes to understand how to psychologically get into the fight state that Michael B. Jordan wanted them to be in. So I thought that was awesome. And also, Michael B. Jordan always has some anime influence in any project he's working on outside of Fruitvale Station. So like that's awesome. Like, shout out to him. Here's a question for you. So we talked about a lot of what we loved about this movie and what made it work. What was the scene that you saw where you were like, okay, this movie is different. This movie isn't just a cash grab?
There was one scene that made me cry. It was when, sorry, we'll be getting into spoiler territory here, but
spoiler warning.
As his mum is on a deathbed, and she's talking to Adonis, but then she calls him Apollo, and she thinks he's Apollo, and she's talking to Apollo about how Adonis like saved her. Just burst into tears in the middle of the cinema, because that's something a lot of people have gone through stuff like that. I know I went through something similar with my grandma before she passed away like 18 years ago now. She had Alzheimer's, so that my family went through something very similar with that. And I saw how my dad was sat right next to me. I saw how he was getting affected by that as well. So that just hit me, in there. So that was a really, really powerful scene, and that's not something that's easy to pull off as a director. So the fact Michael B. Jordan managed to, put in
Yeah,
a scene as powerful as that in his first film, in his debut as a director. That's what made me think, okay, this is special.
Bro, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. I have to watch this movie again.
Mm.
So, because recently with my daddy, right, like she had a stroke as well, and that's partially why our first episode took so long to record, because that happened and I was texting you and everything. So it hit home. But for me, I don't know if I did it on purpose, but I dissociated myself, because that was just, I mean, shout out to the good writing, but that was just too close to home for me.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like an element where my head kind of got cloudy, and and suddenly I started to notice every detail in the theater. Like, oh, there's popcorn over there. Oh, my dad, with him too, because I went with my dad and then my cousin and my youngest brother on Tuesday for $5 Tuesday. And yeah, like it was like I noticed like my dad was wiping his eyes, and I didn't even look over to see if he was crying, because that was just too close to home for me. I'm like, bro, like this just happened. They really had to do me like that, like really. Like, so I just started analyzing everything else in the room. Like, hey, that carpet was there. Oh, look at that light over there. Oh, that the girl down there, she's kissing her boyfriend a bit too much. Like, like I'm noticing all of these things instead of the scene. But I was hearing everything, and when she said Apollo, he saved me. No matter how hard I was trying to not pay attention, I couldn't. I couldn't. Like that was a magnetizing like scene, and it just elevated the movie. Like after that, I'm like, bro, he's not losing to Damian.
No way.
He's not losing after this. Like he's coming out of like getting his title back. For me though, the scene where I was like, okay, this movie is different. It was actually in the real beginning when Amara woke him up for the play date for the teacup,
and he gets in the costume.
And he's in the dinosaur costume, and it's like 6 a.m. over downtown LA, and he's like, they're signing, and shout out representation, by the way, like shout out, like I don't know how well they showcase the world of like deaf people and the deaf community, so I don't want to speak for them, but from my limited perspective, I thought they did a good job. So shout out for inclusion, shout out for diversity. But I think that that was the scene for me where I was like, this is different, because it just showed Adonis Creed is a completely different stage in his life now. Right? Like he's kind of like Eddie Hearn in a way. Like he's kind of setting fights happen. He's like, come on, man, I'm gonna scratch your back, you scratch my back. Hey man, you're throwing a good jab over there, keep it up. Like he's really like bigging up his fighters and being a promoter. He's a family man, and he's a nice guy, and it's just so much different from the scrappy, I'm just trying to make a name for myself, trying to, box world champions at Duke's gym back in the first Creed movie. So when I saw that difference, I was like, this movie is going to be less about the fights and more about the man. This is Adonis Creed's story. And that was the scene for me where I was like, this is brilliant writing. Like, this is just such good shit, right? I loved it. And I think a part of that is the villain, right? Jonathan Majors. Talk to me about him, bro. Like. So,
what I really enjoyed about him as the villain, not just the fact it was written incredibly and his performance was incredible, but it's the first villain in the Creed franchise where it's not linked to previous, like to the Rocky films. So in the first one, it's a Tony Bellew or Ricky Conlan, and the whole story of the film is like, Adonis doesn't want to be Adonis Creed. He wants to be Adonis Johnson. He doesn't want people to know he's a Creed. And then in the second one, he's fighting Drago's kid. So that's linked to the past. But this one, it's just about him someone from his life, and the performance from Jonathan Majors is unbelievable. And that first scene where they're talking in the diner, and you're analysing sort of the way they're handling seeing each other again after 18 years, and how Adonis is processing it. And then you're looking at Damien, and you don't know what to think of him. You're thinking, what is he trying to get something out of Adonis here? Which eventually he is, but he's so convincing that you think, oh yeah, he's just his mate, and he hasn't seen his mate in 18 years. And he just wants Adonis to help him get back on his feet a little bit. And from that first scene where he comes in, I was like, oh, this is gonna be special.
Dude, like, I always got an uneasy feeling. So, like,
yeah,
you played Uncharted 4, right?
Oh, loved it.
All right. Did you get that same feeling with Sam? Like, is he mad at me? Is he not mad? That's the feeling I kept getting with Damien and Adonis. Like, is Damien mad at him? Does he feel some type of way? Is he, because you remember the scene in the house where they're just talking, and then, because, like, Damien, and I'm not making fun of anybody when I'm doing this, but, like, how he's kind of, like, shuffling his shoulders, he's just kind of looking down, he's blinking a lot, he's, like, kind of rocking back and forth, he's, like, kind of twitchy with his hands, he's, like, low, kind of low voice, soft spoken, like, hey man, I'm just trying to, holler at you, what's up, like, and then in the house he's like, yeah, like, that's cool, I don't know if I made myself clear, bro. I won the title shot, bro. I was like,
he's
whoa.
An absolute menace.
I was like, whoa. Like, he had a Mark Spector Moon Knight situation. He just switched just like that. Like, it was like, yeah, like I don't think I made myself clear, bro. I'm like, no, you did not. Like, and he was like, and how he spun it too, like, he went from demanding to back to soft. Like, he was like, if Rocky can take a chance on, or if Apollo can take a chance on some unknown underdog, why can't you? And the way he said it, it was like, yeah, why can't you?
Yeah.
Like, like
that's what the best villains do. The best villains in films make you think, oh yeah, he's got a point. Like, this is going slightly off topic, but I've been watching You season 4 on Netflix, and Joe Goldberg is an absolute scumbag. Like, he's an absolute murderous psychopath. But that show is so good. The writing is so good, and Penn Badgley's performance is so good that there's some moments in it where I'm like, oh, go on, Joe. And then I find myself like, no, he's the bad guy. Yeah. But because the writing and the performance is so good, it gets you thinking like, oh yeah, he's right. I want them to get what they want, and the same thing happened there. I was like, yeah, he's got a point there. Give him a title shot.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it was Jonathan Majors, like, okay, like the Star Wars movies, right? Like the saga, like these new ones, 7, 8, 9. Forget the nerd aspect of it, just the writing. They were not good, right? There was not good writing, not good planning, very little character arc, very little payoff, not, adhering to promises made to the audience, like, just bad writing throughout. And all of them, regardless of how you feel about character decisions, just throughout, just poorly planned, right? But if you look at like the actors themselves, for example, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, they actually did a bang-on job. Like, I actually really loved what they did, especially with what they have. So if they were to return and in some project or some whatever way, I'd actually really love that. But the reason why I bring that up is because when I think of those movies, number one thing I think about, above the what if, what could have been, if better writing, the number one thing I think about is Kylo Ren. I think of Adam Driver. Because of that villainous performance. Like, he is the villain, but there is this, you're not that bad. Like, like, just be good. Like, like, just, come on, Kylo. You want to be a Jedi. Come on. Like, and he played that off so brilliantly, especially the scene in The Rise of Skywalker with Han Solo, right? So with the same situation with Jonathan Majors here in Creed, except this time instead of a bad script, it's a brilliant script. And Jonathan Majors just like that the scene in the diner where he's like joking and he's like, yeah, man, like they're just talking, catching up, and then it's kind of got quiet, awkward quiet, and he's just kind of staring at Adonis, and Adonis is like, well, come by the gym, come by the gym, and he's laughing, he's like, Jonathan Majors, his character is laughing, he's like, thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, okay. And then in the gym, bro, he fights dirty. That's another thing. He fights dirty. He doesn't care. And he's a nice guy, but you're like tense around him when he's not in the ring. You just always felt uneasy about Damian Anderson.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always that those little bits of, yeah, something's a bit shady. Yeah, and then when he's having is it his title fight, and you see him like, the elbow
that was
like
brutal.
cuts it. Oh, the way that was shot as well was absolutely perfect. And then he uses those dirty tactics, and then afterwards it's sort of all revealed. Adonis goes to see him, and he's like got all the the gangsters around, and people, like some of the people he's locked up with.
That was such a chilling scene.
Like when he sees the photograph,
yeah,
and it's the guy who beat up Victor Drago, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah,
that gave me chills.
Bro, well, okay, so the build up to it, right? So to those who, because I'm gonna watch this movie again and again and again. It's a brilliant movie. Yeah. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Maybe that changes, but it's been 2 days. I feel like it's fair of me to give my initial reaction 10 out of 10.
I agree 100%.
Brilliant movie. Michael B. Jordan needs to make a Marvel movie. Like, let him direct. I'm being so serious. Yes. That's a future episode. Like, I'm just saying, or make him direct Val Zod, bro. Give him his Superman project.
Oh yeah. We need to discuss what happened to that, but that's something for another time.
He's not talking about it. Like, he's not talking about it when they ask him. Like, Empire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like his representatives. I'll show you on Twitter, and you guys can search it up on Twitter too. Michael B. Jordan, Val Zod. His representatives will be like, I'm sorry, we're not going to discuss that topic. And somebody like Chris, I think the guy who does comic book, like the Instagram page, the host for that, he was on interviewing. So he was like, I had to try. And then Michael B. Jordan dapped him up and he was like, I know, bro, I know. So it's like, I don't think it's dead.
If it was dead, surely they'd just be like, oh yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah. And also, I think Michael B. Jordan has major clout in Hollywood, and he's a huge moneymaker. So Warner Brothers, probably it's in their best interest to like listen to him and make that movie with him. So
he's on the hottest run of his career right now.
Yeah, and he deserves it. He deserves it. After Fruitvale Station, bro, please watch Fruitvale Station. To me, it's one.
I haven't seen it.
It's pretty much without spoiling it. It's a movie about police brutality and murder of innocent black men and America, and that is specifically in like California area, and Michael B. Jordan starring in that. Ryan Coogler is directing. It's a fairly short film, and it's a very personal biopic type of film. So I say that to say the fact that it still outperforms every other major blockbuster that year is testament to the direction of Ryan Coogler and the acting of Michael B. Jordan. Like, bro, I'm not going to try to act out his accent because I feel like that'll just be so wrong on so many different levels. But he had like a Hood Crenshaw, like LA native accent. He did not sound like any of his other roles before, bro. Like, if you were blind or something, yeah, like that is how good Michael B. Jordan acted in that movie, man. Like, we got off on a Michael B. Jordan run. But no, I mean, we're talking about the villain. I think one thing of this film, right? We love the villains, like we love the angle, the family angle, everything I love about this film. One thing though, I feel like the descent to villainy, quote unquote, for Damian Anderson, that was way too quick. Like he beat up this Chavez, who's a fraud champion, by the way. Like I know Damian Anderson fought dirty, but that boy was weak. Like the Chavez
he
guy.
was skinny.
Yeah, he did not know. He was not throwing any combinations. He hit him a couple times in the face, but that entrance, the skull entrance.
Oh, that was cool. That was really cool.
That was straight up anime too, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah. But no chance he was a heavyweight.
Yeah, no. So he was gonna lose anyway. That dude was a fraud. I just have to throw it out there. But when he knocked him out, and then they were at the beach, it was a chilling scene. By the way, he was like, "You played me, bruh." Or when one of Damien's goons pulled up to Adonis with the gun because he was walking up to him, and he was like, "You played me, bruh." Damian Anderson just like went chest to chest with him, held out his hand. The dude gave him his gun, and then he walked away. And Adonis was like, "That's what we on now?" Like, I was like, they're bringing like crime and gangbanging into this. Like, this is intense, man. And then when he got punched in the face by Damian Anderson, and he was like, "It's not a threat, little bro." Like he like treated him like the little brother the entire time. So that's my question to you and to the audience. Do you feel like his descent into villainy was a bit too quick? Do you feel like it makes sense from a character arc? Like maybe, because two things can be true, right? Like you can love your family and also feel very angry about something that they do. So you're like, you don't even know how you feel. So do you think the fact that he just kind of, after he beat everybody up, and the fact that Adonis came at him like that, let's keep in mind after the 18 years of no correspondence because of Adonis's mom's interference, because she felt like he was a bad influence. Do you feel like it's justified? Or do you feel like the third part, some of the stuff was edited and cut out because of, some input from Sylvester Stallone, because he said that he felt like the movie was a bit too dark and not very Rocky-esque? Do you feel like maybe that may have influenced some editing decisions? I just throw a lot at you.
I'm not too sure that anything with Sylvester Sloan affected it too much, really, because it didn't feel like there was many things cut out of it. I don't think it was all pretty smooth. And going on to what you said about his descent into villainy, I think I thought he was done. I thought it was done pretty well, because the way they tied in the flashbacks, I thought that really helped it out. So yeah, it starts sort of in the past, doesn't it? The first 10 minutes are when the kids, and then there's little flashbacks here and there, and then it all comes to a head in the scene where he finds the letters, or his mum shows him the letters. So I thought it was done really well, and I thought it was built the build up throughout sort of the first half of the film to that beach scene was done perfectly. I think I can't find any flaws with that myself.
Okay.
But yeah, I probably do need another watch of it to, without sort of the excitement of seeing it for the first time. But yeah, I thought it was done perfectly.
So I think I need to watch this film again. I've only seen it once, and it was 2 days ago, so I'm going to watch it again. But I think there definitely could have been... I think the character arcs were done well, and they made sense. Where I am coming from is a perspective of, it would have been nice if... that's where I'm coming from. Yeah. It would have just made it so much more sweeter. I think there were opportunities for the film to further develop Damien and Adonis's relationship, not with each other, but also with themselves, within themselves, because a big part of this film is about toxic masculinity, right? It's not necessarily men saying, "Oh, I'm a man and I'm better than you," not like that, but the more subvertive aspect of it, where we might face trauma in our life, and it hurts us on a deep level. So we're afraid of, and I don't mean afraid with a negative stigma, maybe a better word, but we feel uncomfortable speaking about what affected us. And that did not apply to Damien. He was very open and honest about his past, but Adonis was not, right? Like he was very closed off. It was hard for him. And he was more nervous about this than meeting the son of his father's killer.
Yeah.
Like, think about that.
That shows how a lot of people who've been, because let's again go into spoil territory. He was beaten, wasn't he, as a kid?
Yeah.
So people who watch this film who have experienced something similar will understand, you know, how he's feeling in that scene. In the whole film, but the scene where he's like, he can't tell his wife, your wife you're supposed to be able to tell everything to. Like, you're supposed to be able to tell your wife or your husband literally every single thing that happens or every single thing about yourself, but he can't. That shows how badly how he was treated as a child affected him. And then that probably makes you think as well, how much has that affected Damien. But it's affected him in a different way. It's made him, instead of, you know, keeping it all in, it makes him, you know, lash out and makes him more aggressive
and methodically.
Yeah, calculated.
That's scary to me. You know what I mean? Like a dude who's kind of a loose cannon, you can kind of predict, but a dude who's really angry at the world, but he's biding his time. That's scary.
Yeah.
So, but do you think? Okay, I think the scene that could have gone horribly, like, not horribly wrong, I'm being dramatic, but like the scene, it would have been predictable way to do it, and it would have been less of an emotional focal point for us audience to anchor to, is if the scene where Adonis is talking to his wife, if it was a flashback. This is a very, like, it sounds weird, but, you know, I know people say show, don't tell, but this is an example of just tell it, don't show it, because I think a big, huge heartbeat of these Creed films is the marriage, the relationship between Adonis and Bianca. And in a lot of ways, and I want to knock on wood, I'm speaking a bit, you know, preemptively, because hopefully nothing bad happens to Adonis and Bianca in the future. I want them to stay together forever. And also, Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson, with all due respect, y'all need to date. You guys have such great chemistry. You guys have such great chemistry in the ring. And hey, Michael B. Jordan, bro, I'm not trying to speak on any exes and bring up any, you know, negative emotions, so I'm not going to do that. But we all saw that post from the Golden State Warriors. We all saw that. We all saw how hurt you felt. You need a Bianca in your life, and you literally have one. And Tessa Thompson, hey, bro, like, hit her up. Hit her up. You guys have way too much good chemistry for you guys to say it's just friends or he's like a brother to me.
Like. The way they're posing together, looking at each other on the red carpet, it's like, come on.
Yeah. I am being the old brown man in this house. You must get arranged marriage to her. I want this to happen. Michael B. Jordan, you must get married. This is an arranged marriage. You must do it. But no, I mean, but that's testament to just how good their chemistry is, right? Like the one scene where he got, you know, Goku Super Saiyan punched in the solar plexus. He hears everybody screaming in the background, and he also hears Bianca just say, "Get up, D," and that's where he gets up. Like, that is such a huge heartbeat of these films. And going back to what I was talking about, the show not tell, I thought it was brilliant that when he was talking about what Leon did to him, and how he ran away, and so in the same breath what he did to Dame, and he's breaking down. Michael B. Jordan is crying, he's breaking down, he's like, you know, kind of shivering, he's scared, doesn't know what his wife is going to think. Instead of showing us, the audience, what we can already see in our heads, they show us that Bianca is his rock. Bianca is his Mickey in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know, and they chose for us to see maybe an edgy scene, and instead they chose to show us the marriage and the family heartbeat that keeps Adonis Creed going. That is such a strong part of these films. That is the highlight of these films. I love the fights, but the highlights are the characters. So I thought it was a brilliant, genius directorial move for the audience, for us, to experience it in that same manner by viewing the relationship. I just thought that's just a highlight. I just love that scene where he's just talking about it, and he's like saying, like, you know, I was scared, I didn't want to talk about it, the group home. Just brilliance, bro. This movie is so good. I love it.
And it's such a that's such an important message to send as well to men, that saying like, look, if you do talk, it is the right thing to do, and people will listen. Which, you know, is like, that's brilliant. Like, it's so good that they sent that message. Going back to like the emotion of the entire of like the film as a whole, I think that no other film in the entire franchise has as much emotion as this one. I don't think.
I think this film, it's different. So Creed 1 is more of like that, you know, is this movie gonna be good? And then it exploded, and, you know, kind of it had like the benefit of being the first movie, and not only did it do good, and it was actually a really, really, really good movie. Creed 2 was a bit more of like the go get 'em, like that hype element, right? Like, because when I saw that trailer and it's Kendrick Lamar playing, and then you just see Drago, and then the trailer ends, I was like, they have balls. Like, they are having Creed's son fight the son of the man who killed his father. Like, okay. And Creed 3 was not a hype film. Creed 3 was more of like, you just love these characters film. So it was a feel-good film. And I'm not trying to diss it, because it was an intelligent film. It was a powerful film. But I think, especially as men, for the film to talk to us and say, it's okay to be hurt when you were a kid, but you don't need to carry that into your adult life. That resonated with me, and I love that. And that is just a message as to why I feel like I would say it's a feel-good film, because it just made me feel good. Yeah. You know, it warmed my heart. I can't describe it. Like, it just did. Like, does that make sense? Like, I don't know.
No, it does, because even though there's some heartbreaking moments in it, like you said, the fact it shows you, you know, you don't have to, these things don't have to come with you into adulthood, and if you talk about it, you know, things do get better. It's like it does have a very positive message.
And the film, hey, like, it doesn't, we see, because I want to address this too, right? A lot of men online, specifically the incels, they have like this weighted fulcrum dilemma in their head, right? Where it's like, if you have to be super masculine, you have to be super toxic. You know what I mean? And if you want to be nice, then you have to not be masculine at all. And it's like this constant pendulum, and there's no balance. And what I appreciate about this film is it showed that you can be a positive male model and be in touch with your emotions and be vulnerable and be able to cry on your woman's shoulder and still be just as masculine and be no less of a man, or whatever that even means. But your manhood is not questioned because you are in tune with your emotions, and you are just as masculine. And what better way to show that than with two big ass buff boxers, you know what I mean? Who are intense, who want to kill each other in the ring because of their childhood past. You know, I just loved it. And also, can we talk about just how fresh of a premise that was? That was a fresh premise where he just beat up the dude who abused him, right? Adonis beat up the dude who abused him. And, you know, Dame helped him out, pulled the gun on him. Then they're both getting arrested, and he dips out on his boy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dame had a point, didn't he? Like...
Yeah. Yeah, he had a huge point. He stole his life.
Yeah. He literally, you went to prison for 18 years for him. And, yeah. oh mate, if my mate ran away, I'd want to take everything from him as well.
Yeah, yeah. And especially when he didn't even try that at first, but it was more of he was trying to be cordial. I guess he was smart enough to figure out that Adonis wasn't getting his letters, and here's why. Because if he was smart enough to figure that out, that's why, or if he wasn't, then that plan would have failed from the start where Victor Drago got hurt, because the same dude that was in the pictures that he sent to Adonis and his letters was the same dude that was at his party who jumped Victor Drago. If Adonis read his letters or received them, he would have recognized that guy, and he would have instantly recognized that there's too many coincidences here, and he got set up.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's brilliant writing. I think that Damian Anderson probably figured out, yeah, he's not getting my letters. Like his mom probably has an influence. Because remember, he was sneaking out at the real beginning from his mom's house to hang out with him.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, I thought you chickened out on me this time. So I think he was well aware of the fact that the mom was intercepting it. So I say that to say, do you think the fight was therapeutic for Damian Anderson's character? Like, did he, in a weird way, did he just want to beat up his little brother? And once he got out of his system, he was like, all right, we're good now.
Yeah, it did kind of feel like that when they're talking to each other in the changing rooms afterwards. It did kind of feel like it was just a cathartic experience for him. He just needed to let off a bit of steam.
Yeah.
But well, that's sort of putting it simply. But yeah, it did feel like that. And then that scene when they're talking to each other in the changing rooms, it's the first time that they're just being open. They're not being, they don't want to kill each other, don't want to punch each other's head in. And they're just talking to each other like brothers again without, hiding anything. And the way he walked away from him. And something I kind of wanted to happen in this scene, but I also understand why it didn't, was I was expecting them to hug. I don't know why. But then also you can understand why they didn't as well, because you can understand what Adonis was like, you tried to take everything from me, you fucking broke Drago's hand, pulled a gun on me, all this stuff. You can understand why he is not forgiving him that easily. But I kind of just wanted them to have a hug.
I think, well, I mean, think about your life too, or my life too. I've been in situations where I'm like, okay, we're cool, there's no beef anymore, but there's still that tension.
Yeah.
So I think this is more of like the start of their healing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But let me throw this question out to you, bro. Is this the last we're going to see of Jonathan Majors in the Creedverse? Is this the last we're going to see of Damian Anderson?
I hope not. I really hope not, because I just want to see put Jonathan Majors in every film. He's fantastic. But well, there's news that's come out, hasn't there?
Yeah, talk to us.
So I'll get up the tweet here. I think it was Deadline who broke the news, so it's pretty much certain. So apparently they're officially calling it the Creedverse across Amazon, because obviously it's Amazon Studios who did the film. So there's going to be a Creed anime series, a Creed live action companion series. So that's probably something we could see Jonathan Majors in, and a project about Creed's daughter, but that's not been specified whether that's going to be like a film or a series, I don't think. So looks like there is an opportunity to see Jonathan Majors as a Damian Anderson again, hopefully in that live action series. Yeah,
I mean, this is going to sound weird. This is my hot take. I'd rather see more of Damian Anderson than Kang the Conqueror.
Me too.
Me too. And that is solely because of the quality of the projects that they have been in. I understand that is a completely stupid point to make. Like, I get that. I'm just saying the quality of script from Ant-Man to Creed 3, bro, it is like night and day. It is like Liverpool 7, Manchester United 0. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yes.
it is like that. Like, that is the, like, I hope Jonathan Majors has a good script to work with in Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars and any other project season. But I think that for the Creedverse, one, I have to say this, and I think this movie would not have worked if it wasn't for the brilliant casting of Amara. Like, whoever that kid is, like, she only had maybe 5 minutes of screen time in the movie, but for the amount of time she was in the movie and the scenes she acted, she was the perfect kid, like how a kid would be, and it was like it was like if Tessa Thompson and Michael B. Jordan literally had a baby, she would be that. Like, it was just such
which they need to do in real life.
You must get married and have a child right now. Like, you know, like, it's gotta happen, bro. It's gotta happen, man. Like, I really need that. I really need that. But I think that casting is good. So if there's a future in the Creedverse for the character of Amara, I want it to be that actress.
Oh yeah, they've got to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how old the actress is, but if the series or the film about her happens in a few years, like showing her career, her boxing career beginning, that's something I'd be very, very interested in watching.
Do you think they're interested in making the Creedverse like a boxing cinematic universe? Like, you think that's what they're trying to do?
I can see why they'd want to, but I don't think that's something I'd personally want. Mm-hmm. Of course, like, cinematic universes are the thing nowadays.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I hope it doesn't get too sort of big in terms of scale. I hope it in terms of, like, the numbers of characters and numbers of projects. But if it's just going to be a couple films and like an anime series and like 1 or 2 seasons of like a live action series, that's okay, because that's not too much. But if they start trying to do too much, then it, as we've seen with Marvel, as we've talked about, becomes oversaturated. So I hope they don't go too cinematic universe with it.
I think I hope so too. The reason why I said that is because I could easily see them making the Amara series kind of like their Cobra Kai. Like their boxing saga, their Wednesday for that age demographic that they can target, and have like that protagonist, maybe have that actress age up, recast, although I really hope they don't do that, or maybe have a different older character play Amara and have that same actress in flashbacks, whatever. It's just the kid did a fantastic job, so she deserves to keep her job. Like, I'm advocating for her to keep her job, and I'm sure Michael B. Jordan is too. But I think that that is something I could see happening. It makes sense logically. You have the continuation of Adonis Creed's universe somehow, some way, through his daughter and the stories of that. If they want to make it more Sweet Life of Zack and Cody versus if they want to make it more Cobra Kai, you have your demographic right there. So you're continuing the story. And then also you have your companion saga, your companion franchise, movie franchise, which I would imagine would be your traditional adult audience. What do you think they're going to do with that, though? Like, is that continuing? Like, it's not, so it's a co-franchise, right? So they're not going to be targeting Adonis Creed. He already has his line. They're already his movies. What do you think they're going to do with that? Do you think that it's going to be Jonathan Majors, like the Damien movies, like
I hope it's something to do with Jonathan Majors. Maybe, Drago would be interesting because I would like to see more of that, more of that side of the sort of universe. But I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what I'd want from a series, because we haven't really seen how this type of film, like a boxing film, works in that format. Because I think the film is like the perfect format for sort of a boxing story if you're going to tell it, on screen. But if it's like an 8-episode series, like 45-minute episodes, I'm not sure how well that would work. If it's taking a similar story to the films, but if they, like you said, if they do a series that's like Cobra Kai, where it's about the younger generation, that would work really well. So if it's like if the live action series are sort of the companion series or something, if that is about Damien, I'm not really sure what to expect. But I'm not too sure.
But for sure, it's got to be another adult audience type of film, right? Your
Yeah.
typical.
Yeah.
Because earlier, I mean, I know we sort of talk about it, but I'll just briefly mention it. So Rocky Balboa had a lot of creative differences with the producer, to the point where he called it the producer nefarious, or not Rocky Balboa, Sylvester Sloan, but they're one and the same. They're one and the same. And he did not agree with the creative decisions of Creed 3. He felt like it was too dark and not very Rocky-esque. And he's not a part of the film. He's not a part of the franchise. I hope he comes back in the future. But as of right now, that's where he stands. And that's why I feel like it's interesting if the editing had something to do with the creative decisions in this film. Because although I liked it, I felt like the movie was fairly Rocky Balboa familiar, right? Like Adonis won, that he got with the family, like the good guy won, he made peace with the enemy. It's your typical Rocky film, like it's good. So I'm wondering if they changed that. Like that's where my perspective is coming from. I wonder if they changed that, if they had something else, if the film was longer, if they had deleted scenes. I'm really interested to watch this on DVD with more scenes and stuff like that. But here's my question for you. This is very metaphysical, but I'm just going to throw this out there. Do you feel like a boxing cinematic universe is ironically something that, if there's any cinematic universe that needs to be made, it's the boxing one? And here's why. A lot of what makes the MCU, the DCU, whatever CU works, is the fact that you have these characters that you love and they're finally interacting. So that's really what we're chasing when we're watching these movies, is these interactions, right? When Spider-Man became the main lead of Kang Dynasty, the number one thing, what we thought about, right, is, well, how the hell does Tom Holland and Kang, like, what would they have in common? Like, what would their dynamic even be? And now we're intrigued. So that is what we chase in these films, is that interaction, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about boxing, like real boxing, we get excited by the big money fights, right? Like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, or, even though it's not a real fighters, but if we're talking big money, if KSI versus Jake Paul ever happens, bro, like, we might do a streaming episode about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
huge,
like,
yeah.
Like, and their characters, are they not? Their lives are movies, are they not?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, when you look at boxing and you look at MMA, we don't see a lot of those big money fights because so much factors get in the way, right? Health, injury, paying promoters. Does the fighter even want the fight? Like, do they miss weight suddenly? Like, there's so much external factors that go into a fight and to make it actually happen. And then when you're in the fight, there's so much factors to determine if it'll actually be an entertaining fight. So what I'm saying is, rarely the fight, what we want in our heads, is what we receive from the television, because there's just too much factors to account for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A boxing cinematic universe doesn't need to account for all of that. With a good script and good acting and high quality production, each movie is equivalent to a boxing fight of an unknown real-time fighter. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you're building up these fighters, replace fighters with characters with their own projects. So when they meet, it is an event similar to when these real life fighters meet. Like, imagine if Francis Ngannou and John Jones actually fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
Would that not be a money fight? Like,
yeah.
Now,
sure.
A boxing cinematic universe, especially with the Creed brand attached to it, can do that same thing, but make it way more cinematic.
You could build it up this is probably a bit of an out there reference, but build it up in the way Godzilla versus Kong was built up.
Right.
So, you have introduced one character, he has a few fights, then introduce the person who's going to be his opponent down the line, and then like you drop in stuff like, these films are connected, and then the first fighter has his second film, and then they finally meet in the fourth film of the entire franchise. That would be a good way to maybe start it off. If they go down that route, that'd be a pretty interesting way to do it.
And make the stories intertwine and be human.
Yeah.
So one fighter needs the money for his daughter's sick treatment. I'm throwing out, a Sandman reference from Spider-Man. And another fighter needs that money so that they can really relocate their family from a war-torn country. And you have established both those two characters and their character arcs between two different movies. And now they come together in the third movie. You as the audience, you're like, bro, I don't know who to go for.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a character that you feel like fans will really love. Maybe you make that character suddenly a bit more heelish in the third movie. So then audiences are like throwing a twist. Like they're like, oh, like, should we really like this character or not? But they're fighting. And so you can really make exhibition bout fights in the form of movies and entertainment and get paid to do it through the
get paid a lot of money to do it as well.
You're paying actors to be fighters and not take a lot of damage.
Yeah.
like bro, you could do that. Like I think this needs to happen. I think if anything needs to be franchise and made a universe, it's got to be the fight universe. It's got to be the sports drama universe, the sports movies universe. That is where you do it.
I would be so invested in that because I'm a huge wrestling fan, and it's sort of it's part of that sort of sports entertainment type idea. The thing that sort of has never really got me hooked on boxing is, like you said, you never see the biggest stars against the biggest stars all the time, maybe once every few years. But in wrestling, where it's scripted, where you can control what happens, that they have those storylines where they're built up and then the two big characters end up finally meeting on the biggest stage. So it's combining sort of those two in the medium of film, which that's a winning formula for sure. Yeah.
And if you can do that and make it cinematic, and especially in a movie, like I said, it depends on having good writers, preferably former boxers who actually know the fight game. The more, real tangibility you have with the actual sport, the better writing you'll have. Like, don't have me write a boxing movie. I don't know anything about boxing. So like, like I couldn't make a well-engrossing script in that. You would need to have writers who are very familiar with that world for that product to work. But I think that's how you do it. And then you said there's a Creed anime?
Yeah, I can try and find the details on that. So all this tweet says here is Creed anime series. I've got the link to the article. Also, by the way, Creed 3 has got 100 million plus global opening.
It's that good.
Is that? I think that might be the record for the Rocky franchise. I might be wrong there, but I think that might be. It's the box office record for Amazon Studios. So
well, I'm not surprised they did just start, but I think. Wait, no, did Amazon Studios just start?
Well, I don't know if that might be counting MGM films as well.
Okay, then I'm...
Because it's like sort of... Because Amazon bought MGM and this is kind of under... Yeah, something
it's
like
the
that.
Same. Okay, all right.
It's
so
kind
it's
of the same. Yeah. I can't find too much information about the anime. But there is... Oh, it says here there is still a Drago spin-off movie in the works.
Okay.
Apparently that's been previously announced. I missed that, but I'd be very excited for that to happen. And apparently Michael B. Jordan told Deadline that building the Creed universe is something he is really, really excited about.
Then I'm very happy. I'm very happy because more Creed movies are good movies and great news for me. Like, I love it. I'm very happy. Just before we end today's show, bro, is this the best Rocky movie?
It might be. It might be.
Whoa.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say yes. To me, the best. Before I saw this, I was like, Rocky IV's the best. Nothing will beat that. I'm gonna have to rewatch Rocky IV and rewatch this sort of close together to get my final thoughts. But I'm not. This is not my final answer. Not locking this in yet. But at the moment, I'm saying Creed 3 is better than Rocky IV.
Okay. All right. I would go with. I mean, I'm gonna go with no, but I really like Creed 3. Like,
yeah,
it's among the higher tier of Rocky films for sure. I give it a 10 out of 10. But like with Rocky 4, man, I mean, you know what would have made it on Rocky 4 for me, Rocky 4's level, if Damian Anderson killed that Mexican fighter.
Oh shit! Yeah,
and and it's kind of like a Ivan Drago twist, but you didn't see coming. Where he kills his fighter, and then he's like, all right, now I got to get into the ring, and I have to resolve some
unfinished business. The parallels. Yeah, that would have been phenomenal.
So I think that's the one thing. So for me, it's not quite up there, but I enjoyed the hell out of this film, and I want to see more Creed films. I do think, though, Damian Anderson would probably beat Victor Drago in a fight if they were to box.
Hey, maybe that happens in the Drago spin-off.
I mean, he would kill Drago now if they fought, but if he fought his son would be a good one.
Yeah.
But Drago, wasn't he like juicing?
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
by the way, that scene with Drago in the original Rocky IV where he's in the lab, that's how I imagine Erling Haaland was created.
I just thought of something. I want Michael B. Jordan to direct a Leo Messi movie.
Oh, like a biopic?
Yeah.
Or a
Neymar.
Okay.
Neymar would probably be better.
Yeah, seeing him direct like other sort of sports-based blockbusters would be very, very interesting. I do want to see him tackle some other types of films as well, because like obviously the talent for directing is clearly there. Like he's so good. Do you reckon the best director win for him some point in his career? Do you see that coming?
Absolutely. Like I want to see the uncut version of this movie. Like whenever there's more deleted scenes, or if there's like an extended version, I want to see that, because I do feel like there was a lot cut out of this film. I do feel like there could have been a lot more scenes of Damien and Adonis to talk, to build more tension. So not talk to get their emotions out there, but talk to where it's like slowly the kettle is about to blow, like that type of situation.
Yeah.
I think there could have been a lot more. I think there could have been opportunities for it to be a lot darker. Like for example, what if Damien killed the Chavez guy in the ring? And maybe make it accidental, like he didn't mean to do it, but maybe he punched him disrespectfully a bit too hard, and like
I did think they were going to do that for a second when he was on the floor and he was just like out, wasn't he? For a second I thought, oh, are they going to do that?
I think that's the only miss of the film, and that's me nitpicking.
Yeah,
that's me nitpicking. Like I loved it. I thoroughly loved it. I think this is an example of a fresh movie that truly makes you feel good. You come out of the movie feeling refreshed and just happy about life, and strong acting, strong character directions, bro. Like Michael B. Jordan, you are invincible too. Yeah, bro. I loved it. Do you think, before we close the show, bro, do you think that this is above the best, or excuse me, let me ask a question. You said it's probably the best Rocky movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to rank the Creed movies to finish off the show,
Ooh, okay.
what would be your order from 1, 2, 3? 1 being the best movie, 3 being the not the best.
I'll start from the bottom. I'll put Creed 2 at the bottom of the pile. Even though I love that film, think it's great. It's, the other two are just superior in my opinion. Even though I had a lot of fun with that one. And then second, I'd put Creed 1, and then top Creed 3.
Okay.
What about you?
So right now I'm putting Creed 3 at the bottom simply because I have to watch it again.
Okay.
In terms of like what I honestly put it at the bottom, no. I think honestly right now, recency bias, I think it's the best one. But just being fair, I'm gonna put that at the bottom right now. And then I would put Creed 1 second, and then I will put Creed 2 on top. The reason why I'm putting Creed 2 at the top is one scene and one scene only, and it's that desert training scene.
Oh yeah, that's brilliant.
Bro, when that desert training scene happened, I was like, this movie is on a whole another level emotionally. Like it's not as introspective as the other movies. It's a lot more like a hype. It's a lot more of like an intense like thriller of a film, and for that reason I would put it on top. But to me, I look at the Creed movies as a novel. They're chapters of the same story. You can't have one without the other. So ranking them hierarchically is kind of hard. But I would say Creed 2, number 1, Creed 1, number 2, and then Creed 3, number 3. But if I had to give my fun answer, I'm going to go with Creed 2 on top, Creed 3 second, and then Creed 1.
Okay.
Well, man, dude, because when I think of Jonathan Major,
also good.
Okay, how about this? I'll go by villains.
All right.
Okay. Okay. Then if that's the case, then Creed 3, Creed 2, Creed 1. They just got better as each one.
Creed 1 doesn't really have a proper villain, does it? It's just as an opponent.
But I think the movie benefits from that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that was the point. Like it's more about him trying to find himself versus taking out somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's what I would say. The movies just get better. And bro, you know what I think of? You know what made me change my mind right now? When Jonathan Majors said, "Bye-bye, baby Creed."
Yeah.
When he said, "Bye-bye, baby Creed."
That was some like Seth Rollins type stuff there.
Yeah. And then when he walked away, when Adonis walked away, he said, "Aloha." and then he called him on First Take. It was legendary seeing ESPN or Stephen A. Smith.
Oh yeah,
ESPN.
that was good.
That was so fresh. Mm-hmm. And when he called it to the show, and he just starts spewing garbage from the top, like he's like,
"You're a coward."
He's like, "You're a coward, bro. You're a coward, bro. You're not a man of your word, bro. You're soft, bro. You're not about this life, bro." Like, it was like, I'm not capping, bro. Like you're gonna get washed in this fight, champ. I'm the champ now, bro. And then Michael B. Jordan was like, "All right, run it," and he was like, "All right, bet, run it, bro." And then he hung up the phone. Yeah. I think that's my rank. I'm gonna watch the movie again. Film purists, don't get mad at me. Maybe I'm a prisoner in the moment, but I can't deny it. 3, 2, 1. That's how I rank them.
Yeah, no problems with that.
And especially with the ending, bro. The ending,
mm-hmm.
and this is how I'll end the show, bro. And to men and to women, but mostly men here, simply because of the emotional aspect of it, right? When you look at that ending, and it's a powerful ending. I think it's the best ending out of the Creed movies for sure. Even though the Creed 2 ending hit really hard, I think as men we are expected to deal with a lot of crap and take it. And if you complain about it, you are inferior. And while I do agree to an extent as men, we do need to be the protectors or a healthy leader to kind of, help out your local community, help out the people who rely on you, because we just have more traits that allow us to do that. that does not mean we have to go about it in an unhealthy and an unsupported way. And when we hold on to emotions and trauma and pain that has happened to our past, in this case, domestic physical violence, that can stick with you for the rest of your life. And I want people to know that, like, that should never happen to any kid. And you're not alone. If you got beat up as a kid, the adults in your life failed you, bro. I'm not talking about spanking. I'm talking about, like, you got beat up. Like, the adults in your life failed you. And anybody would be mad about that. I'd be mad about that. Like, anybody would be mad about that. But if you look at the ending of this movie was not Adonis Creed beating the crap out of his friend, even though, to be fair, why would he? That'd be really foul. Not only did he make him go to jail, then he beat him up for it too, but which is kind of anyway. But being unapologetic about it is bad. But if you look at Adonis Creed, right, he really, like, he didn't try to take out his friend. The end, what made him happy was not just shoveling his pain away and pretending like it didn't happen, like what he was trying to do and what us men typically do a lot in our real life, right? We just look away and not address our problems. That doesn't bring you any peace. What brought Adonis Creed peace was being with his family in a place that he loved, spending time with them, smiling at the horizon and looking at himself and saying, hey, I got through it.
Yeah.
I think as men, I don't know how to get that answer. To be fair, I don't have that answer. If anybody has the answer of how do I be content, let me know. Like, if anybody has that, please let me know. I'm trying to get there currently myself. But you got to try. And Michael B. Jordan tried, and he got help for it, and he didn't go about it alone, and his character didn't go about it alone. And at the end, he was at peace. This film is a message to us men a lot. You can get that same ending that he got. The wife, the kid, the stable life, the peace with your loved ones before they go. You can have all of that. Just don't overthink it. Just communicate. Get help when you need it. Get help when you need it.
Yeah.
And if anybody looks at you inferior, they're the inferior ones, and you need to do your part in making sure your environment is rid of them as much as it possibly can. But bro, like, look at the ending. That's what I'll say to end the show. And if you have anything to say, bro, by all means. But that's what I'll say.
I've got nothing to add to that. I couldn't have put it any better.
I'm trying to make it more like flowy, like, but I guess I'm trying to say, like, he went through a lot of trauma and he was in his head a lot and he was scared of the future. And as men, I'll admit, as a man, I'm scared of the future a lot. For example, I want to write comic books. I talk about that all the time. It's difficult getting it off the ground. I'm stressed about that because I don't want to be a failure. Similarly to Adonis Creed not wanting to be a failure by not addressing his past, right? But he got through all of that anxiety and pain by doing the work, getting through it, and getting help by talking about his problems with other people. Mm. If a lot more men did that, you'd be a lot more healthier.
Yeah, it's the film's message of if you just talk to the people close to you, it'll get better. It's the right thing to do, and you'll get your happy ending.
Mm-hmm. I want everybody who listens on the podcast, you are loved, bro. Like, even if it's by one person, bro, you're loved. And God damn it, if you truly aren't loved by anybody, like if you're a Man United fan, if you aren't loved by anybody, you're loved by me.
Fernandes.
If that's the case, at least you will be loved by us. But with that, I'm going to head off. I'm Zan.
I'm Oli.
And
we're the
Invincibles. Take care, guys.
There we go.